My name is Kang, and today I would like to talk about why our desires are killing Earth and ourselves. I'll be giving two examples in my speech: social media and consumerism. So first, I want you to look back at last year's Christmas. Recall what present you wished for and got. Looking back at the present, was it something that you needed or something that you wanted, like the Pokemon cards I wished for back when I was little? If we look back at our things, we can easily determine whether they're necessary or not. But when we're in that moment of decision, it becomes difficult to see if we need that item or not, because we're blinded by our judgment and subjectiveness. Smartphones are an example of necessities for communication in our modern day society. So let's say I needed a new smartphone. In this scenario, buying a smartphone with the latest features and brand recognition might be considered as a choice influenced by my desires and social status, while it could also be a necessity for other people, such as social media influencers or photographers who require high-end phones. Then can we ever differentiate between necessities and desires if they're often subjective and differ based on the person and what they do? Well, yes. I strongly believe that there's a clear difference between our necessities and desires. Necessities are things that are essential for human survival and are universal, such as food, water, clothing, and shelter. Desires, on the other hand, are things that are not essential for survival, but they vary across cultures and the situation that people are in. From this generalization of these two terms, we can say that homework, midterm, and final exams are not essential for human survival and are therefore unnecessary, right? Next, I would like to talk about our personal desires. As I'm giving this speech, part of me would like to go out, eat ramen, and play with my friends. What desires do you have right now? And what impact might they have on you if you achieve them? For example, if a hungry child desires food and they eat from McDonald's, they'll probably be happy and full. If a person suffering from sleep deprivation gets a good 9 hours of sleep, they'll most likely wake up all satisfied and well. This shows that not only are necessities and desires often subjective, but that they are also constantly changing as technological advancements improve our living conditions and standards. For these examples, what I want to point out here is that desires can have serious consequences depending on their magnitude and vector. According to a psychological professor, Jim Orford, desires are closely correlated with addiction, as neurotransmitters called dopamine is released from our brain whenever we achieve something, a desire, and the chemicals play a role in enforcing our pleasure. For those who are susceptible to addiction, desires that involve substances or activities could be dangerous or harmful in a way, such as wanting to devour highly palatable ultra-processed foods, wanting to gamble tremendous amounts of money day and night, or wanting to smoke and drink alcohol to escape reality. This can result in unstable, unhealthy lifestyles with detrimental impacts on both our mental and physical health. Raise your hand if you're a daily social media user. That's a lot. Well, according to the University of Maine, 60% of the global population uses social media. According to the University of Maine, 60% of the global population uses social media in 2023. The numbers are expected to keep growing, but we must acknowledge the fact that social media, although convenient, entertaining, and arguably one of the best ways to kill time, is a double-edged sword. It is estimated that 210 million people suffer from internet and social media addiction, according to a recent research paper written by Phil Longstreet. Furthermore, according to a study done in 2014 by Pittsburgh University, participants who reported most frequently checking social media had 2.7 times the likelihood of depression compared to those who checked social media less frequently. And researchers had concluded that this is more likely a causal relationship than just a correlation. I got my first smartphone 3 years ago, just before entering middle school. And that was when I first started using social media. However, the desire to connect with the online world gradually changed into FOMO, or the fear of missing out on the latest posts. And I've had experiences where my screen time for X, Twitter, exceeded 6 hours in a single day. And it came to the point where I spent the whole day just scrolling through the app. Now, I'm not trying to say that social media is terrible, because I personally enjoy checking social media, and we can learn a lot from it as well. What matters here is finding the right balance to be able to embrace this tool and utilize it in a positive way. I'm sure every one of you here I'm sure every one of you here knows the term fast fashion, and some of you here enjoy buying and wearing clothes that are trendy and up to date. I also like to buy clothes from fast fashion stores as well. But I believe that we are blinded by our desires that we are not paying enough attention to, nor are we putting enough effort to ameliorate the dire situation we are in. Yes, I'm talking about climate change and its strong correlation of overconsumption. Though I've mentioned earlier that technological advancements have been improving our living conditions and standards, it seems that this is backfiring on us as well. As mass manufacturing of products became easier and cheaper, this consumerist belief that it is good to acquire and consume goods and services spread all over the world. And this consumerist culture has far worsened in the past few decades, with competitive consumers vying for a position in the social hierarchy by excessively purchasing and displaying luxury goods and services with the sole purpose of signaling their wealth and social status. Wait.
No, just give you some encouragement. You want to go one slide back and start from there?
I personally like to buy clothes from fast fashion stores. And I like to purchase convenient and trendy goods and services. But I believe that we've reached a point where our choices are influenced by underlying factors such as societal norms and corporate practices, including marketing and advertising strategies. And this is further devastating Earth's natural environment and putting all living organisms at stake. We are prioritizing the desire to consume goods and services over the necessity to sustain Earth's natural environment. And we are putting self-satisfaction before considering the consequences. Consumerism is responsible for 60% of global greenhouse gas emissions, according to a LinkedIn article. Furthermore, according to the UN Environmental Programme, fast fashion accounts for 10% of global carbon gas emissions. Furthermore, according to the World Counts, Earth's natural resources, we are overusing Earth's natural resources by up to 70%. And if everyone on Earth lived like the average American does, then we would need at least 5 Earths to support us. 5 Earths. But we can't just give up right now because, and we would need at least 5 Earths to support us. We are both figuratively and literally on the edge of a cliff, and unfortunately, we're running out of time and resources. But we can't just give up right now, because now's the time to start taking action, to put an end to this inevitable journey towards doom. Now, I am sure every one of you is wondering, but how and where can I start taking action? Well, it can start off by something very small, like taking a moment to think before we tap open our social media apps, or before we press that enticing purchase online button. One example is balancing our usage of social media. First, write down your current necessities and desires. For me, it would be something like watching YouTube for an hour versus finishing homework due the next day. Next, weigh the results and effects for both occasions, which would be something like having nothing done after watching YouTube, or having the spare time to do hobbies, such as reading books. Following this simple action plan will allow you to gradually gain confidence in balancing your necessities and desires. And this can not only maximize your productivity, but also help create an emotional leeway, which boosts your life satisfaction level. Another example is becoming aware of where the desire came from. So let's say you really needed a shoe. First, try remembering where you first saw and knew of the product, in this case, the shoe. Did you see it in a video advertisement from YouTube? Were your friends wearing it yesterday, and you just happened to have enough money in your wallet to afford it? Then try coming up with other ways you can spend your money on, like investing in carbon offsetting or sending a gift to your family and friends. Finally, ask yourself once again if you really need that product, service or not. Following this action plan will allow you to will help you break free from your profligate lifestyle and allow you to spend time and money more wisely. These were 2 action plans I gave as examples that everyone can start from today. For the first few days or weeks, it might be difficult and challenging to stay away from the temptations of social media and newly released goods. But remember that progress takes time, and if we all work diligently towards balancing our necessities and desires, we can save Earth from climate change. And we can live a happier, more satisfying, and sustainable life. And this is a future that we need. So let's make it happen. Thank you.